Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a little bit different format. I'm going to go through a bit of a story time, so go ahead and grab yourself a beer and have a seat. Cue the intro. Trading in that 90 Accord and purchasing a 96 Honda Civic. So after buying the Civic, I started getting into the tuner concept. That's when that whole phase was starting to grow. Like I said, this was early 2000s. It was like 2001, 2002. So I started working on my own cars and started playing around. My main passion at that point in my life was car audio. So I put a huge stereo system in that car. Actually took it to a sound competition at one of the big name car shows and hit 141 decibels, which was pretty high at the time. So from there, one night I was driving around with another buddy of mine that had, this buddy's Jason. He usually watches all these videos, so make sure you like Jason. So we were hanging out at the AutoZone down at where we cruised a lot, and we were sitting there messing around with stuff, and they told us we couldn't be in the parking lot anymore. They were closing the store and all of that, so we had to go somewhere else. So we were going to go across the street. Well, he was like, here, drive my car and let me drive yours. And I was like, okay, we're just going across the street. I get into, he had a 1980 something, I believe it was an early 80s cabriolet. And this was the first Volkswagen that I'd ever been into. So I sit down in it, and then I'm like, wait a minute, something's wrong. I don't know what to do with this third pedal. So he tells me, he explains to me, you know, how to at least drive it. So we end up just cruising right across the street and going from there. We hang out in that other parking lot for a little bit, and then we leave. I don't remember where we go, any of that stuff. We probably go back to his house to hang out. We actually had done a whole lot of like garage nights when I was hanging out with him quite a bit. We would just go to his wife's parents' house and just work on our cars all night long, and that was the best time of my life. Well, one of them. So I enjoyed that a whole lot, just going and working on cars. So then my next car, I drive his Volkswagen for a while, or just across the street and all of that. And then next thing I know, one of my other friends calls me and is like, hey, I just bought a new car. It's like, oh, what'd you get? And he's like, a 2003 Volkswagen Jetta. So this, you know, it was about that time. It was pretty much a brand new car at that point. So then start looking into them a little more. Another one of my friends calls me and is like, hey, let's go driving around. I just got like a 2001 Jetta with a VR6. So I was like, all right, well, let's just go cruise around for a while. And you know, we went driving and all of that, and then later on I was like, you know, I kind of want to get one of these Volkswagens. So I went to the dealership one day, and they were you know, giving me the whole spiel. This was when the 2004 Jetta GLIs first came out. So this was back in 2004. So I went to the dealership, was talking to them, talking to the guy, and you know, he was like, hey, come see me tomorrow. I have the car you're looking for. because I was looking at one of the Jettas, the Jetta GLI. It was still out of my price range at like 25, 30,000. I don't remember, but it was a lot, and I really did not want to spend that much money on a car at that point in my life. So he said, come back and see me tomorrow. I have the car you want, because I told him I wanted a 2-door hatchback, manual 5 or 6 speed, and all of that. So he was like, okay, cool, come see me tomorrow and we'll go through and I'll show you this car that we're taking in on trade for this other car. So of course I do that. I go home, you know, think about it all night and get pretty excited about getting a new car. Well, so then the next day comes around and I go out to that dealer. I go back to that dealership, and they take in on trade a 2002 Volkswagen Golf 337 edition. There were only 1,500 of them made in the United States. The 337 edition is a throwback to the very first Volkswagen Golf that rolled off the assembly line in Germany. So not to be confused with the 20th anniversary Golf that came out in 2003, which was the 20th anniversary of the United States Golf. So back to the 337, it was a 1.8 turbo motor with a manual 6-speed transmission. Had the 18-inch BBSs with the Recaro racing seats, no sunroof, and it was only made in reflex silver. That was the only color they offered that car in. And like I said, there were only 1,500 of them made in the United States altogether. So I ended up buying that car, and I drove it for a few years, did some things to it. It had a Revo Stage 1 flash on it. I changed it to Revo 2 to help with other things. Put a full 3-inch exhaust. And then the list goes on and on forever. That car was awesome. So that was the body style that I fell in love with. That is, you know, pretty much the body style that I own now. Actually, I have now one of the 2004 Jetta GLIs that is everything that car was, with the manual 6-speed, the Recaros, the 18-inch BBSs, the factory lip kit all the way around. It was lowered a little bit, which I did some more suspension work, so it doesn't have the stock suspension now. But I still own that car. I've actually owned that car for 8 years. And that one was a throwback to the 337 that I'd owned, but I had a young daughter at the time, so that was, you know, the closest thing I could get to that car in a 4-door version. But now, currently, I have 5 of them here at the house. That is the body style that I love the most, because it looks like a Volkswagen. It's the last generation of cars that don't look the same. Now if you see a Volkswagen Jetta, you can mistake it for a Toyota Camry, any of those cars. They all look the same pretty much. There's slight differences, but for the most part they look the same. The Golfs look like Focuses, the Jettas, Passats, and Camrys and Hondas, all that stuff, they all pretty much look the same. The body lines are, you know, in a little different place, but for the most part, they all resemble each other. Which these cars, you look at them and you say, yes, that is definitely a Volkswagen. That is what I like. So that is why I have bought so many of them, and I will continue to buy them and either keep them to keep mine running, or I will build them and sell them. So basically, that is, in a nutshell, what got me into Volkswagens. Now, over the course of the last 15 years, I've owned over 30 different vehicles, including a whole handful of Hondas, Acura, Jeep, and Eagle Talon, Eclipse, Mitsubishi Eclipse, any of those, and including a Dodge Ram as well. I've had 2 of them, and you know, I still have a Dodge Ram now. I don't think I will ever go through life without one. I just enjoy having a good truck that can pull anything that I put behind it. So I'll go into detail, a little more detail on that, because it's far from stock. Coming up on the channel will be a brief look into each one of the vehicles that I have at my house now and what my plans are with them, and I'm going to take you guys every step of the way. So if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not already, make sure to click the notification bell so you get all the notifications when I update another video. But other than that, drink some beer and have some fun, go get some work.